Kiriko is the new healer in Overwatch 2, and she is so good at it, it is considered the Kiriko meta currently in Overwatch 2. Because of that, I'm going to give you some more tips and tricks that you guys can use to execute better plays while playing Kiriko. Now, I did already make some tips and tricks for her, so if you want to look at that, click on the top right now. But let's go over to some juicy information with Kiriko first. Everyone loves to deal tons of damage with Kiriko because we all know Kiriko can deal 120 damage suddenly with a headshot with her Kunai. So we're going to first focus on her Kunai, and my first tip is to always aim for headshots. Now, as we get further down with the tips and tricks, you'll understand that this is going to be more beneficial with another tip that I'm going to talk about. But because of the fact that her kunais only deal 40 damage and then suddenly 120 when you get a headshot, it's always a good idea to try to get your mouse cursor, or if you're on console, your reticle, just above the torso of most players. Get comfortable where you place that reticle, because then you'll have more often chance of shooting a headshot. Now, Kiriko's kunai is a projectile-based weapon, which means it doesn't travel instantly, so it's very common to get frustrated and not get a lot of headshots, but don't give up. Of course, it's a high skill ceiling character, just like Sojourn, just like how we talked about her last week, so don't get discouraged. On the flip side of that, do not spam kunais. You are a healer, you are not a DPS. 9 times out of 10, every single game I play, there is at least one Kiriko on one of the teams that's trying to play a DPS, and it makes their respective team falter due to the fact they're not getting respectable healing. Even if you do kill a target, it does not help your team when they're down 3 heroes because you forgot to heal and got greedy. This mistake is made with a lot of players that play healers, not only just Kiriko, so try to get out of that mentality and I will assure you, you will play better. My next tip is going to circumvent what I just said, because you can actually do a very nifty rotation of healing and damage to deal a considerable amount of damage and heal a considerable amount to get the best of both worlds on what you want to do. Getting into a rotation with characters in Overwatch isn't super common, so this is going to be a bit tricky for the strictly veteran Overwatch players. But this tool will help you secure kills while also providing optimal healing for your team. The refresh time for your tags, which is your healing, are just 0.05 seconds shorter than a kunai throw. So after using all your tags, because of this, you can easily throw a kunai between healing, and since kunais on a lucky throw deals 3 times more damage on headshot, aka 120 damage, this can help turn the tide of a fight. This helps build ult charge too as well, so keep that in mind, because Kitsune Rush is a game changer whenever you have it out on the field, assuming your team uses it effectively. With this rotation strategy, you can get easy kills, as I'll show on the screen right here, and support your team by pressuring the enemy, as well as always providing healing. This strategy of rotating your kunais and your healing does, however, have a downside where you will forget to reload your kunais, because sometimes when I'm doing this strategy, I'll be out of kunais and I won't realize it, because every single time I press the left click, she starts doing her reload animation, and your reload animation is longer than your refresh rate for your healing items, so I will sometimes get into a trance when I'm doing this and forget that I'm not throwing any kunais out. Granted, I'm still providing healing to my team and that's effective, but my next tip leads into the fact, don't forget to reload your kunais. It's very easy to forget that you use kunais between fights, but after a fight, make sure to reload kunais. I forget this a lot of times, as I just said, and this makes my healing rotation miss time. If you see a 1-tap escaping and you go to throw a kunai and it does not throw, you will be pissed, to say the least. Speaking of healing, always aim at who you want to heal, since it only heals in home if you're directly aiming at a hero. This is pretty obvious, but I've seen some people mistakenly think that it's going to home to a nearby target if you even lightly hover over the hero. You want to make sure you're always aiming at the hero, because then you won't get any heals, and if you're not healing, you're pretty much worthless to your team. You can also do preemptive healing by sending tags towards a target that you will think will get damage soon. Tags will home towards the target you are pointing towards no matter what, and you can use this pretty effectively to help mitigate the incoming burst damage on a hero you think is going to take a ton of damage soon. Because of the fact that you do have to aim at the hero that you want to heal and then aim at the enemy you want to throw a kunai at, it is a bit tricky to optimize the healing kunai rotation, but if you can get this down pat, you can really help your team. Speaking of healing, it is really tempting to swift step to a hero that is rapidly losing HP. Oftentimes when you see a hero that is far away or in a building that is suddenly low HP, that often means that they're engaged in an unfair matchup like a 1v3. If they're not near your team and they're just wandering, don't teleport to them because oftentimes they will die by the time you get to them and you will die in the process, making your team now essentially be a 3v5 on the next objective push, which is terrible. So always try to be conscious on where your team is. If your team cannot support you if you teleport into a 1v3, it's not their fault that you died. Don't get mad at them. Similarly, this is more of a general tip, but if you notice all your team is dead and you're running into the point, stop and do a 180 and start running back to base. If you're engaging in a 1v5, you most certainly will die and you will start trickling, which essentially means that you die and the next hero that goes in will die because of the fact they're not noticing that there's no allies behind them. Try to be conscious if there's allies behind you, no matter what hero you play, but especially with Kiriko, because there's no way for you to escape if there's no nearby allies. At the start of a match, don't wait for the perfect time to use your invulnerability technique. Because of certain matchups, the enemy team won't always have a super dangerous ability to deal with right away, so you can use this instead at the start of team fight to allow the enemy team to waste their burst damage abilities or CCs. Since this would be the start of a team fight, most of the time your group is all grouped up and thus allowing you to hit all your allies very easily with this technique. On the flip side of this, after the match has gone on for a bit, you should most certainly use this ability sparingly to make the enemy waste their ultimate or key abilities. Example of an easily timed ability to counter is Diva's ultimate or Roadhog's hook. It's your job to decide when it's best to support your team, so if you feel like the best time to use your invulnerability isn't right at the beginning, that's okay. If the enemy team has a Roadhog or even a character that can easily CC a character and it's something you need to cleanse, most certainly do not take this tip as gospel. If you notice the enemy team has perhaps an Orisa, Soldier, and Junkrat, all characters that don't necessarily have an ability that you can key counter, instead you can use your invulnerability to avoid quick burst damage at the start of team fights, if that makes sense. Swift Step is one of the more diverse skills you can actually use on Kiriko. You can use it to obviously escape a tricky situation or get to a teammate that needs healing, but you can also use this on someone that is diving an easy target to help secure a kill. More kills secured can help turn the tide in objective pushes or overall game state. When doing this, it's common for the enemy to be low HP already, so in that case, try to go in for a quick kunai throw or a melee since you and your team should be close to the target anyway to get the kill. On the flip side of helping a proactive and smart diver, you can use Kiriko to help a stupid diver by preventing them suddenly getting killed by doing a invulnerability tag as soon as they push into a 1v5. Most of the time, players will go into a 1v5 thinking their team is going to back them up, but suddenly backpedal because they are about to die because they're taking a ton of damage. So that 0.75 invulnerability window does help them a few seconds to escape. Hopefully they have a movement ability to escape easier, but try to support them as they get back to your team. You can easily prevent deaths this way. Now, healing tags have a super long range, so you can use this range heal if necessary. Some players think Kiriko can only heal at short ranges, so use this as your advantage so you don't overextend with an ally and make your team lose a healer. Your kunais, as said before, are projectile-based weapons, which means they have no damage fall off. You can heal an ally from afar and deal meaningful damage from afar as well. If you're a considerable distance back from your team, you can easily see all your allies and easily heal them in the process. Of course, this makes you vulnerable to a diver, but you have Swift Step and invulnerability to allow you to escape them if necessary. And you can also use Swift Step to help you avoid damage in a team fight. While being flanked, even if you don't travel far, the more slippery you are, the less damage you'll take. So swift stepping just to avoid damage is okay, even if you don't travel far. Of course, since the teleportability does allow you to cleanse an effect on you, if you are anticipating an effect to apply on you soon, of course you can wait a few seconds. But I highly encourage to teleport often when in a team fight if you're getting damage, because then you won't take as much damage and potentially die. And finally, let's talk about Kitsune Rush. Now, Kitsune Rush is an excellent tool to use when starting a team fight, but it can also be used defensively, seeing as your fire rate increases and reload time will make your heals per second higher overall by allowing you to send tags out quicker and reload them quicker, as well as allowing you to get your invulnerability tags out quicker with the cooldown reduction. It's very obvious that Kitsune Rush can also be used offensively, because that's what a lot of players like to do from the get-go, so I won't really talk about how you can do that, even though I kind of just did. This can be really said for everyone, but Kitsune Rush should not be used as a panic tool. If you panic and you feel like you're about to die, don't pop it, you'll waste your ultimate. Perhaps you can support your team from death with it, but it's better used when your whole team is alive, so keep that in mind. Don't panic when you have your ultimate. It won't instantly save you, not one of those type of ultimates. So don't randomly use it and waste it for your team. So the real key takeaways is to stay afar, be slippery, always aim for headshots, and try to learn a rotation. If you take anything away from this video, try to stay behind your allies. Don't be right next to them buddy. You need to be able to see them, so be at their back at all times. You'll die a lot less this way, and you'll heal your team a lot easier, and your team will be a lot happier, I promise you that. As always, a big shout out to the members who make these videos possible. We have Clairvoyance, Rick and Glaze, Just Cameron, and Wishkeeper. These are the people who support me as little as $5 a month on Patreon or YouTube, and you can also support me as little as $5 a month by clicking the link in the comment description or in the top right to become a member. The more members we have, the closer I get to becoming full-time, which of course means more videos for you guys. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him out with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. War in a cave with a torch on a wall, then a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.